Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thought I'd do a reading for those of you that are feeling a little disheartened, you've lost a spark, or feeling a little frustrated about things not working out exactly the way you wanted. And that's often our human journey, right? Is we have an idea of what we want, and then God, the universe, our higher self really has other plans. Like if we got that very thing the way we wanted it, it may be upset, would set us off course for what our higher self and our soul wanted to experience in this lifetime. If you believe that, I tend to believe that because what else can you do? Like things happen the way they happen, and that's the way they happen. But if we can glean a lesson from it, or even better yet, like what was playing out, what do I feel as I connect with it now? What's the shadow aspect? What could I have done differently? Sometimes comes up again. It's like, okay, well, that's what's done is done. Now I need to move forward and be all the stronger for it. And this is really the key, is this human journey is to keep moving forward, to just keep going, don't give up, show up. And that's just what I was feeling would be important for this reading, is like, what is it we need to know as we continue to move forward and grow on our path? What is it that's going to help rejuvenate and light us up again, that passion, that spark? So maybe you have ideas of multiple things you want to experience or attain or achieve in this lifetime, and you move towards them and you had some accomplishment in it, but it didn't really play out the way you wanted. So we're going to dive into that and see what is it that the universe is directing us to in this moment. So if you found this reading and you've been feeling a little frustrated or upset about how the world's playing out and how your personal life is playing out, and you wanted something different, we're going to dive into like what that's about and what advice Spirit has for us about moving forward in life, in career, in love, in finances. So I'll do a Celtic cross because that's the best way that I like to use for fleshing out like the energetic snapshot of what's happening. And then I'll pull some cards. I also have the Galactic Heritage cards here today. So we'll pull at least one or two of those. And I have these archetype cards, which I've been playing with a little bit, are fun, and pull one or two of those and see what comes through for this reading for those that are feeling a little like they've lost their spark and want to get that back, because it's always there. It's deck here. We'll get started. You're all having an amazing day, keeping that heart fire alive. We're going to dive into that even more, keep it going. So first card out of the deck, Nine of Pentacles. And this is really great, and I love this, is very often in our lives, we'll be like, well, I wanted this to happen, and I wanted to have that. And this is what I saw myself doing. And very often we're not. And yet if we were to get upset and frustrated about that, when we pause and we, meditate for a half hour, just breathe for, a period of time, and come into presence and come out of the thinking mind and more into the heart and look around with that heart vision, we'll see, the beauty of nature around us. We'll see the resources we have. We'll feel that connection with the animals and with nature that really is like manifested abundance. So what I'm getting with this is, if you've been feeling that way, like something's off, or you're feeling a sense of lack, or things should be different, like I talk a lot about the new earth, and it's like, well, this doesn't feel like the new earth. And that's the thing. It's like timelines and processing the old as we move into the new. And so this card is letting you know, like, hey, you're actually in a really good place. And when we pause and connect with our surroundings and our environment, we'll see that everything is good, or at least we're being provided for and supported, and nature is there to love and care for us. But she is alone. So there's this feeling of isolation. And I like this card better than the Rider-Waite, as far as depicting she's alone, but she's happy. Like she's found that, what we were talking about earlier, that spark and that excitement with that connection to gratitude, really. It was what I would see this like, oh, I have gratitude for what I have. And then it's just her and nature. So we'll dive a little more and see what else comes through with that. This is the energy and exactly what I was feeling. This is the energy that comes in and either crosses us or presents a challenge or is what liberates and shifts everything. So this is the energy that we're working with is the Five of Swords. And the swords represent the thoughts. This is like the thoughts, the ideas, the concepts that we hold, and how that can really create that feeling of lack. Even though we are supported and connected with nature, it can create the belief that we're not or something's missing. And this is what I was feeling and why I'm doing this reading is this energy is coming in. And on the New Earth energy update and guided meditation I just did the other day for the month of September, this was the energy that was coming in quite strongly was pain and suffering, but pain and suffering from the mind, from analyzing and judging and thinking things are wrong or bad. And I did a great meditation for that. I'll link it in the description that helps shift that out. And that's really the discipline I've had to use my whole life is when I get up in my head is when I start to run into problems. And there's an old quote that when you're in your head, you're behind enemy lines. Like you're not going to see life clearly. You're not going to be present with what's being said or even hearing it. So, and this is just a reminder that as powerful as our intellect is, it's not really going to help us attain and achieve the resources and abundance we think we want and need. Like we already have it and it's good to want to experience more. But I think, this just feels like the new earth energy too. And it's going to be more heart. It's going to have to be heart intelligence. And even the newer technology that's coming out, they're saying that if you don't use it from the heart, if you're not in the heart frequency, it won't even work. So this advanced technological equipment and even like the ships and stuff that these other beings fly around that we see in the skies, they're using like heart power. They're using that higher frequency that can measure all variables rather than the mind that is more linear and can follow plans and judge and discern things based on past experience, which is valuable. You should never throw that away, but it's not meant to guide. So this is just a reminder of how powerful your mind is and to be watchful that it's not interrupting the flow of your life in a way that is challenging or creating disease and discomfort, pain and suffering. And we'll always know because our body will be tight. We won't fully be breathing. We'll not be present. Our mind will be distracted. We'll have a hard time just sitting and staring at the ocean or a mountain or generally coming into presence. And the mind will tend to drift into the past or into the future, anywhere but right now. Next card is the long ago past, things surfacing that once occurred for you that led to where you are now. And the hangman's really beautiful. And I just revisited this earlier where the hangman represents basically embodying the inner priestess, like embodying the intuition and just the knowing that things are off, that what you were taught and told and learned in school and from parents wasn't really accurate. And so that's why she's upside down. So the story was that a person was so frustrated, they'd become enlightened and aware, and they saw the world for what it was, and they realized everything was backwards. And to basically convey that, they hung themselves by their feet from the town square so that everything would look normal, so it makes sense. So basically, this is the card of your perceptions heightened, and you see the world as the distortion it is. And the trick is not to get caught up in the head with this, is to come into the heart and see that everyone's perfect right where they are, not trying to change them or explain to them what you see, because they're probably not going to see it and not going to understand. So with this card in this position, it's indicating that there's already awareness of this. And that's why maybe you feel alone or isolated, is that it's like, I'm not going to find anybody that's going to understand, or I'm tired of interacting with people that want to challenge or argue with me. And so this is totally understandable. And pull another card to see what comes through. This might be part of why you're feeling a little frustrated or stuck. And the Page of Pentacles is really inviting you to, again, I feel that nature connection. This is how you got to here. It's like you realized everything was backwards in the human world a lot of times. And then you looked to nature and you found more balance and stability and got more grounded and came into this cultivation of the connection with your higher self, with the balance of nature and how that supports and guides you. And yet there's something missing because we're not here just to connect with nature and live in a cave or go wander the woods for, 10 years and become enlightened. And I'm going to get us a little bit more late. All right. How's that for a little more enlightened? I like to use natural light, so that requires adjusting everything. So yeah, what I was feeling is this connection with nature and how that's really brought you into a place of stability and groundedness and gratitude for what you have, and that inner knowing of you're awakened, you see the distortions, but you also see the beauty and the potential of the humans and what we're moving towards. And let's see what coming in with that's beliefs and ideas. And yeah, this is the Tower reverse. So this would make sense as like, okay, well, why are things not changing? Why are things not working? What is going on here? And this is what the next card is really what I want to get to the meat of with this whole reading is the Eight of Cups reverse. So it's like something that's being held onto that is challenging to let go of. And let me tune into what that is. And what comes through is that heart coherence. Like the heart is not coherent with the mind and the environment. Like there's still holding on to the way you think things should be and how stuff should work. And that's not really happening. And so when you hold on to that, it creates this like drain or this pulling back where if this was upright, the Eight of Cups, it would be, I'm leaving this behind, as much as I love and believe that this is the way things should be, I'm willing to let that go so I can experience what things truly could be. But when it's reversed, it's like, no, I want it to be this way. This is the way it needs to be for me to feel comfortable and feel safe and feel supported, and kind of blaming and getting mad at God, like, fuck you, God. Why won't you let me have what I want? I'm an all powerful being. And, I see other people are getting it. Why don't I get it? And it's because we're holding on to, these two cards here is really showing we're holding on to these beliefs in the mind. And it's not a simple thing to just be like, oh, okay, well, I know that now, I'm going to quit doing it. But that's where the next card comes in is we'll see what advice they have for us for navigating this mind that wants to hold on to the past or basically the future of how we want things to be from an ego perspective versus the higher self's like, no, you don't really want that. If you knew what was coming, you would let that go and just move. So let's see, this is Eight of Swords. Oh, and yeah, okay. This is what came up for me is when we get stressed out, when we get really in our heads and upset, and we fall into like patterns of thinking or old habits that aren't healthy, even just briefly, there's a reason why that's happening. And it's not always just our thoughts. Sometimes there are like entities and things around us or in our environment or just in the collective energies. And so if we're not coming into presence, if we're not breathing and tuning into the body, we're not going to notice that there's something in our field. Like the third eye won't reveal that there's another presence in our environment. We'll just assume, oh, this desire to want to drink is mine. Or this anger and frustration I'm feeling is mine. Or, oh, what's another good example? This like craving for Oreo cookies or something is, I really need an Oreo cookie. Oh my God. Or I really want to go see this new movie. And a lot of times is just the energetic influence. And if we breathe and we come into presence, setting a timer for a half hour, meditating, setting a timer and just deep breathing for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, we'll have enough awareness to be like, whoa, you know what? I'm not even hungry. I don't want Oreos. Like last time I ate them, they made me sick. And then as we come into that presence and just breathe, I'm like, what's really going on? Let me just tune in. And then you'll feel a presence or an influence. And it's like, oh, and then I am God, I am sovereign, I am free. And I breathe into the source of my being, my still point, my 0 point, and allow that energy to come into my field and light it up. And I do some grounding and shielding. And if you want any assistance with that, just reach out and I can send you some tools that I've been using for years. And then I'm able to follow my intuition and transit this energy or push it out of my field. And so this is what they're reminding us of is, and I don't get into this too much, but you're living on like a prison planet, or there is a war over what people would call good and evil, light and dark, but really it's the balance of what we've lived in other lifetimes. There's other lifetimes where we overindulged in being the tyrant or the controller or the drunkard or the madman or woman or the black magician, dark magician, using and bending things to our will, not caring about nature and just taking. And so that'll come in and it can be represented as a person or an actual entity, but even that is a part of you. And so when we connect with it and really see it for what it is, and then state our dominion and our command, like I do not resonate with this energy anymore. I am calling in my higher self. I'm calling in my guides for support and clearing this energy. It shifts and transforms everything. And a lot of this we forget. And this can go into the extreme. And I know people that just get fixated on constantly thinking it's an entity or someone's attacking them. And it's really their own mind. But there is a thing to this. So it's like finding the balance. And, it's something you've done already with the hangman showing here that deep connection to the intuition. You'll know what to do in the moment. If you come into presence, if you're grounded, you'll connect with the moment and nature and your guides and everything else. And you'll be able to shift and transform this and ultimately be able to walk away from what's been keeping you stuck or stagnant in embracing what you truly desire from a higher perspective or from the higher self. Let me see if anything else wants to do. And this is also witnessing the pain and suffering in others. At this time, there's people that are struggling, and the greatest service we can be is to be in neutrality and compassion for them, but not try to jump in and rescue them, not try to jump in and pull those cords away because they're nothing. Look at it. I mean, look how flimsy they are. They could easily be broken. So it's really for them to do. And this is the thing with entities too, is you can remove things off people, but if they haven't been given the tools and the empowerment to do it themselves, it'll just come right back. And I'm going to adjust this because it's a little bit better. Okay. I'm traveling right now, so everything's a little weird. But yeah, so this is the reminder of the energetic field, that there are powers, influences, and things in people that will want to try to take you down and pull you into a place of misery and pain and suffering because it can feed off of it. And we can attack it and make it evil, but really that's not going to solve anything either, because it serves a purpose to realize that this stuff is here and it helps us empower and choose what we truly desire. I always work with it is of God too, but it's not something you want to hang out with or be in this lifetime. So we have these tools we can use with the shielding and the commands. And again, if you want more info on that, just reach out. You can find me on Instagram at Breathe with Jason, or just comment in the comment section on this video. Be sure to like and subscribe too if you're following along. I'd like to do these readings from time to time. I do guided breath work, guided meditations, and new earth energy updates. Next card. This is your environment. This is the energy you're navigating currently with the Two of Cups. This could be basically the emotional, what I'm feeling is disconnect of couples and families and group dynamics. And so at this time on the planet, there's a lot being revealed with what's been held emotionally within everyone. And this can create like blaming, and the word shame comes through, like shaming and blaming people in order for them to deal with what they're feeling. And this happened a lot when we were children, is when we'd start crying or we would be upset with something. And I've experienced this too with my nieces, where they're like, oh, I really wanted that thing. And, just going and just really upset. I'm like, oh my God, that feels like me. That feels like that part of me inside that, gets frustrated that it, it wanted things a certain way, which is like its whole reading, right? Is I want it this way. And why is that not happening? Is it too much to ask? And it's like, it's not really what you want for whatever reason. Maybe we can dive into that too with these other clarifying cards. With I think the Galactic Heritage card is going to reveal that for us. But this is not anything you really can control. And this is part of the energetics. Is right now things are coming up for people, and as you express and be your authentic self, it may trigger them, it may upset them, or they may be upset themselves, and you may trigger some of your emotional stuff. So just being aware of that, and again, coming into presence is the key. Then you can see clearly with your intuition and with your grounded connection to the moment, and also your guides, like what can I do? And a lot of times you don't have to do anything but just breathe. So, and next card represents what you need to know. Six of Wands reversed. And for me, and they're having me focus on these lights here. These four rays. Just tune in. Rays on the right side. The right side, I believe, is masculine. So it's like, it feels like this energy, what's coming up is the revealing of the masculine. So you consider like the mental body, the mind, the movement of setting plans in motion. When the heart knows what it wants, then there is a level of the ego mind and the masculine coming in, and like, okay, we're going to move towards that. And it feels like that's what's happening at this time, is there's more of the masculine energy coming on. I know a lot of people feel like we need more of the feminine, but without the masculine, there's nothing really gets done. I mean, there is like the intuition, and there is this sense of love and community and connection and bliss, but you need the masculine to come in, like, well, okay, well, this creates shelters for the people. Now we've come together as a community, and we've been enjoying each other, but now this builds something. This create new schools, and we have kids that want to learn how to build. So this have them help us build. We have kids that want to learn how to like farm, and we're going to have them farm. And so this takes the masculine energy to come in and discern, like, okay, how do we do this? And how do we make this plan come to fruition? And so that's what's being asked now, is to really, like, you're healing the masculine. You're bringing in the masculine again in a way that needs to be balanced. Whereas before it just kind of took over. Like the mental body would step in and it's like, oh, I got this. Don't worry about it. You just sit down, pretty lady or whatever. And I got this shit handled. And now it's like, no, we need the feminine in there and be directing as the masculine's building and doing. So yeah, it's not quite balanced yet. And so they're inviting more of that light and presence awareness to the masculine. And in that doing, to continually check in with the breath, with the intuition, with coming into presence when you feel emotion starting to rise up, or tension in the body, tightness, mind looping. It's like, oh, let me pause just for a minute, breathe, for a minute. And a minute's a long time, believe it or not. And this is the discipline of the heart coherence, the new earth technology, is always being present and in the heart while still using the intellect and our ability to create in a physical sense. And this is something that was challenging for me when it's still challenging for me, honestly. I'm really good at like meditating and dropping into that divine feminine receptivity, just being with the oneness of all things. But then as soon as I get up off the chair or the mat or whatever, my mind kicks in and it's like racy. It's like a swirl. And so I have to constantly like keep it in almost like a track. And what's happening now is it's getting easier for us to balance the two, to use the feminine to guide the masculine without it overpowering it. And there's still some of that remaining. So let me tune in. What else is coming through? The wreath. Yeah, I never really paid too much attention to the wreath and the fire. And again, this is, yeah, that's even that masculine and feminine. So you have the same with the Celtic cross is like the staff is like the guiding energy of the masculine. I see the staff as more masculine, that fire and passion. And then the feminine, the circle, the receptivity, the feeling, the knowing, the completeness of the oneness of all things. That's the same with this. The Five of Swords is like that staff. And then the feminine is this connection with nature and with the intuition. So it feels like you're in a really good place. And to keep going with what you're wanting to do and accomplish in the world, it feels like this next thing you're moving towards is going to be more refinement of that. And you're going to find that it's going to work better than you hoped, but not necessarily light you up in the same way as if you were, on the stage receiving applause. It's more like, oh, well, I attained this, or I accomplished this, and it feels good, but not maybe fully recognized or appreciated for how powerful and amazing it truly was. And that's something that's important to remember. We may not always be acknowledged for the deep, powerful work we're doing just by getting up and choosing your heart and choosing your presence every day. It's like I said, everything's backwards in the world. Like people that get the most fame and fortune and notoriety often are the ones that are most balanced and integrated. Sometimes they are, but it's often the person that's humble and quiet and doing their thing that really shows up when you need them. And you're like, holy crap, that is a master, and then they just go back to living their regular life and just, yeah. And so it feels like that. Like, what you need to know is you're basically bringing more balance and harmony to the masculine so that the masculine can really manifest more of what you desire from the higher self. And it's going to be a benefit to more people. And you may not be recognized for this right away, but see what the final outcome is, potential final outcome. Yeah, the Fool. So this next phase of your life is you're embarking on kind of diving into the unknown, into the mystery, into, I don't know what's going to happen next, but this is where I'm going. And really the invitation is to, let go of where you think you're going and just dive. And so she is basically descending into material reality. This is spirit taking that leap of faith, knowing everything's going to be fine and work out. But when she goes through this portal and descends into the material world, it's not going to feel that way. It's going to feel like restricted. It's going to be confusing. There's going to be a lot of emotional instability, but she is the spirit. She is the divine. And that's the same thing that came up with the meditation I did for the New Earth guided meditation and energy update, was connecting to the spirit and being human. And when we do that, we're able to overcome all this. And so that's what I always remind people of, is you are spirit and you're human. So finding the balance of the two. And what do we want to? The Galactic Heritage cards next. See what comes through from the Galactics. So death that was channeled by Lisa Royal Holt, channels a number of galactic beings, galactic races. The group called Jermaine and Sasha, each two channels, and they brought through this deck. Quite powerful, that reveals the galactic history. Let's see what card comes out for us, helping us reclaim that spark, excitement. Yeah, delusions of control. That's perfect, because that's exactly what I was feeling. Is, this is a very mental energy, and the mental body wants to control things and organize it and have it a certain way. Like, I know what this thing is and this is what it does. And all of a sudden it's like, it's not doing that. Or I know what's going to happen in my life. This is what is going to, happen when I do these things, and it's going to be amazing and everyone's going to love it. And then it's like, oh, fuck, why didn't it work? So, see what the advice is for this. All right. So within the Orion system, the dark forces sought control at all costs. The need for control of your reality comes from the ego and is based purely on delusion. You cannot truly control anything, as only the universe, though it is infinite wisdom, keeps everything in balance. Your need for control is a deep karmic pattern that is ready to be released. First, you must look deeply at the habits, patterns, and beliefs in your life that reinforce the feeling that you are in control. Practice letting go and trusting. When the urge to control arises, take a deep breath. Remember that it is only the desire of a fearful ego. So this is really what I was feeling is, with all these energies here, with that Five of Swords, with Tower reversed, the Eight of Cups, the Eight of Swords, this is a lot of like the sword that comes in, the lightning strike that comes in and interrupts the flow of the divine. Because all these other cards is really, quite beautiful. And this is the energy of the environment that we're navigating on the planet and around us. Is just so emotional rising of everything that had been suppressed for generations. And we can navigate that with spirit. So yeah, it's really surrendering and every moment come back to the breath as we're working on our mission, our purpose, what we feel and desire from the soul level, and maybe even from an ego level, that's okay too, is to remember to tune in, keep coming back to, the presence that is the now moment and our connection to the divine, because that comes through the subconscious mind. And with the hangman here representing that connection to the priestess, which is the intuition and the deep inner knowing and the connection to the divine, is really a powerful acknowledgement of where you are and the work you've done internally, that you have everything you need. Now it's just using it. Now it's just remembering to come into presence. And like I said, whenever the body gets tight, whenever the breath gets shallow, whenever the mind starts stabbing at you with what you need to do and why this isn't right, breathe for like a minute. 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale. And you do that for a minute. And that's going to help you train yourself to come more and more into the presence. And it's going to help the body relax, and it's going to help the mind become more clear so that it can follow the plans and the strategies of whatever thing you're working on doing or achieving. All right. And let's pull the archetype card. These are interesting. These are gifted to me from a friend. And I pulled one the other day that was super helpful. I was like, oh, that's pretty great. I was going to use these. I didn't really resonate with them at first, but it really was a helpful acknowledgement of like this energy of remember what exists in the shadows and can have an influence on us, but never succumb to it being evil or dark or something that's going to, destroy us or the world or the planet, which is part of the divine. So let's see what comes here. This is a New York card. Rebel. Challenges authority to affect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. That's pretty great. So I would interpret that as, let me grab the book, my glasses. All right. So we got rebel, light attributes, challenges authority to affect social change, rejects spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. Shadow attributes are rejects legitimate authority out of anger, rebels out of peer pressure or fashion. So this is kind of basically what I was talking about, like cursing God or getting pissed off at the universe when things don't go the way we want, and working with, and even this too, I see everything as like weird and backwards, and why are humans treating each other like this? Why is all this happening? And really working with that rebel energy of, okay, I can live and be different in the world, and I don't have to get pissed off and try to fight everyone and argue with everyone and force them to believe what I believe. Because that's what's happening, especially on Facebook. It's weird. Like Facebook especially seems to be the place where everyone wants to argue and fight with each other. But again, I don't have much of that because I don't ever really engage in that. But there's times when I feel it too and I want to. I've even posted stuff and deleted it. So I think this is just reminding us that, you know, use that passion, use that fire to really embody the spirit that you are, and don't succumb or follow those that are perpetuating the illusion and the negativity. Yeah, there's entities. Yeah, there's negative alien influences and evil, what you call evil forces. But if you try to fight them head on, you're going to lose, because that's what they thrive and survive on. That's the whole thing, is the idea of separation, but they are a part of us. And when we bring the light of presence, they remember their natural, innate divine selves as well, or they flee. So that's really the strength of the divine, is to remember spirit and shine that light, embrace all parts of self, bring it into balance so that we can live our hope for dreams and desires, but it won't necessarily look the way we think it should. And to let go of that so that you can fully embrace and enjoy it. And it feels like you're already there, and we're still on this journey towards something. So be gentle with yourself, allow the masculine energy to come in, but always slowing and taking a pause with the breath and checking in and tuning in with the heart as you move and are guided towards things. So hopefully this reading was helpful. Love you guys. Catch you later. Aloha.